I was 6 years old when my parents got a business offer in Ireland. My dad immigrated and my mother did too, leaving me with my grandmother in Russia. A year later, my parents took me with them to Ireland. I was only 7 years old at that time. I had to leave all my friends that I grew up with, classmates, and cousins that I really care about. Coming to Ireland was my hardest challenge because I didn't speak English. I only knew Russian, so it took me a while to learn English from my classmates. School became a living hell. People constantly discriminated me. Every day, they called me names and bullied me for being a foreigner. They were jealous that I had better grades and excelled in most subjects. I was a bright student, but I had no friends. Ever since I arrived, they hated me from the very first day and refused to acknowledge me. They completely isolated themselves from me and called me an outcast. They acted nice in front of the teachers, but called me names when they left. I was isolated and always alone. I cried when nobody saw me because I didn't want to be seen as weak. I didn't tell my parents because I loved them and didn't want to hurt them as they were constantly working hard every day. I didn't want to bother them, so I took the school bullying, both psychological and physical. I stayed quiet. Even though the school knew what was going on, they didn't step in despite seeing people bullying me. To them, it was banter. It was just a joke, and they thought I took it too seriously. They purposefully made me spend time with my bullies, thinking I would befriend them and fit in, but the bullying only got worse. They called me stupid and told me to go back to my country. They told me to die and said I didn't deserve to live. They drove me off to depression and isolation. But as the days went by, nothing changed. The school didn't intervene. Whenever I brought up bullying, they thought I was delusional because the bullies' friends told them a different story. Despite being a good student, they didn't believe me. Instead, they believed my bullies because they had people to always back up their lies, and I had no one. Sometimes I would even get blamed for things I never did and be sent to the principal's office for nothing. In March, I finally broke out crying in front of my parents because I couldn't take it anymore. I asked them if I could move back to Russia, but they refused. Instead, they told me that they would stay here permanently as they had established a new business and purchased property. My mom was really supportive and she comforted me, saying things would get better. She was always there for me when things got tough. She taught me how to stand my ground and fight off my bullies, and I slowly regained my confidence. My dad taught me to endure it, but my mom taught me how to fight back. Several days later, my dad finally signed me up for a martial arts club and I learned karate. I wasn't really skillful, but I was a fast learner and soon learned simple self-defense, which benefited me later. After a short break, I was back at school after the midterm break. The bullying became physical, but I was able to defend myself from the older boys who picked on me. My mom saw the bullying take place and she stepped in. She called the guards on the boys and their parents were called. Afterwards, they were suspended and had a restraining order placed. They never hurt me again. However, their friends got vicious and tried to hurt me after school, but they failed when a stranger on the road saw what was going on. The bullying didn't end there, but I learned to stand up against them. Even though I didn't have anyone, I learned to appreciate the small things in life and focus on my studies. I finally moved schools in 6th grade and started a fresh life in another school. I got along with everyone and made friends. Eventually, as I thought life would get better, I started high school. I took the entrance exam and successfully enrolled in a prestigious school. I thought I would start over and make friends, but the past shadows haunted me. Somehow, false rumors about me had reached everyone in my new high school. I was a target of bullying again. It turned out someone had found out the location of my new school and told everyone lies to humiliate me. Once again, nobody believed me. No matter how hard I tried to fit in, they didn't accept me. They called me a foreigner and told me to get lost. I became a laughingstock and was forced to eat lunch alone in the bathroom as the students called me names, harassed me, and discriminated me. The bullying was so severe I turned suicidal, but my parents saved me. But then I met someone who changed me. I was 13 and she was 17 years old. One day, while nervously going to the school canteen, a dark-haired girl greeted me in the queue. She smiled at me and asked me if I was American and complimented my looks. I ordered my lunch and was heading out when she suddenly invited me to come hang out with her group of friends. I hesitated at first, but she smiled, and we went upstairs. I met her friends and they accepted me as one of their own. I told her about the bullying issues, and she, along with her friends, offered me their support. They assured me things would get better. Soon, I was no longer alone. I was finally able to enjoy school life. Nobody picked on me anymore because they were scared of my 17 to 18-year-old friends who threatened them if they tried to hurt me. I was finally safe and not alone. My new friend soon spoke with a guidance counselor and things got taken care of. People began to bully me less as they knew the school staff were watching them. Soon enough, I began to be more confident. I reached out to other people just like she reached out to me. And I finally began making friends with the other new students at school. We soon became friends and stick together, side by side, each day, looking after one another. Later, she graduated and we parted ways. I thanked her and her friends and wished her the best. Even up to this day, we keep contact. I owe her my life and I'll never forget her. I'm thankful for meeting such amazing people who acknowledged me for who I was and accepted me despite being a foreigner. She changed my life, and because of her, I'm reaching out to other people today. I'm now 17 years old, and thanks to her, I'm now an honor student with my last year in high school with many friends and loved ones. She taught me how to survive, and I'll never forget her. She'll always be my best friend. This story will teach people that life gets better. After a long struggle comes success. No matter how hard life seems, it always gets better. I hope this story teaches people about hope.